Hello, everybody. Ella J here for a Wrestling Gal, and today I'm joined by one of my longtime besties, Allie Allbright. How are you
Oh my gosh.
today?
Hi, Bestie. I'm so good. I am so excited to finally do this. This is, like you said, 9 years in the making.
Yeah, we've known each
Wow,
other since May of 2015.
that's crazy.
Craziness. At the time of recording this, it is June of 2024. Next year is our 10-year friendversary, Allie. Can you believe that?
Wow. I can't believe that. That's crazy. Time has just flown.
We've grown up. Both of us have grown up so much. So
I
much.
know. It's crazy.
Luckily, we have been able to finally meet a couple years ago. I believe Dallas was the first time, and then I think I saw you in Nashville during
Yeah.
SummerSlam weekend that same year. So we finally gotten to meet a couple times, and now we're doing our first interview. And there's a lot to cover here because I know you so well, and pretty much know almost all of your story. But we'll kind of reel it back a little bit. Obviously, I've known you for the longest time, for 9 years going back. I mean, you're pretty much open about it. We were both a good part of Stan Twitter long time ago growing up. We had some commonalities there. Our boy Dolph Ziggler, Nic Nemeth. First of all, I feel like we have to start there because I mean, he's had a long journey. He's now Nic Nemeth. He's now on the indies doing some indie dates, Allie. So there's a potential for you to wrestle Nic Nemeth potentially. So I mean, what are your thoughts on that potential clash? It's kind of a full circle thing that could honestly potentially happen now.
Just you saying that is like crazy. Like if you would have told me that like 10 years ago, like what do you mean? Like what do you mean that's a potential, like that would be amazing actually. Just to be on like a show with him or something, that would be crazy too. Oh, I would love to wrestle him though. Like as you said, we that's how we met. Like
Yeah,
we're on Twitter.
yeah,
We both supported Dolph and I still do.
yeah.
But yeah, that's how we met in our fandom. And yeah, that'd be crazy if I got to wrestle him. I would have to tell him. I'd be embarrassed, but I would tell him. I'd be like, look, I started, I'm a stan, this, and that. But I think that'd be a fun match, actually. That'd be
I
fun.
think I think so too. He obviously has a lot more freedom now that he's outside of WWE. He's in TNA, he's doing stuff with New Japan, some indies.
Hmm.
He's been doing he did an indie in Indiana, which I know isn't too far from you.
Uh-huh. This a
So
little quick drive. I saw him in Philly, WrestleMania weekend at Bloodsport, and that was pretty cool. That was the first time I'd seen him, since his WWE departure. So,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, not too
Crazy.
far away. Like, let's do it, bestie. Let's wrestle. Let's see what we can do.
I for the longest time I've known you, you've obviously always wanted to be a professional wrestler. But I know before you started your training, you finished your degree at University of Kentucky. You graduated class of 2021. I don't know what your bachelor's degree is in though. So I'm curious, what did you get your degree for school?
So I just got a degree in sociology, bachelor's of science. Um, yeah, it was, I was just kind of ready to get out. I loved my time at UK. But every like class or like every obstacle I would face in school, like I would just kind of take that as preparing me for wrestling. And like I knew like I always wanted to be a wrestler, but it's always great to have, a degree to fall back on. Um, but yeah, I was a degree in sociology. I loved UK. Um, but yeah, I was ready to kind of, get out of school and I was already starting to train at the time, my senior year, I think. Yeah, 21. So I was already starting to train and I was trying to like focus more, like, okay, this is almost over.
Yeah.
I'm ready for wrestling. So yeah, I was in sociology and I loved UK and I'm grateful for my time there. But yeah,
Yeah, your junior senior years though, I feel like I was lucky I graduated 2019 before that crazy wave of stuff happened.
yeah.
How was it for you, as a college student year? It's what it'd be almost you're almost done with your junior year and then your entire senior year kind of, in the midst of the pandemic. How was that adjusting for you? What were some changes that you saw I guess class-wise and college oriented wise?
Yeah, it was crazy. So junior year, um, so it was about March, right? February, March that it kind of started. At that point, I had just been in the hospital too. In March, I had appendicitis, and so I had
Yeah.
emergency like appendix surgery. And then I remember when I was in the hospital, they told us like, "Oh, we just have our first COVID case here in Louisville," and it was at that hospital, and I was like, "What? What's happening?" But
Yeah.
as far as UK goes and like college, I remember they just said, "Hey, we're gonna move everybody out for a couple weeks," and we just never went back for that year, for like the school year. Um, so yeah, then we had summer, so we were taking online classes, and then I remember for the fall, for the next following year, that would have been our senior year, I believe. Yeah, senior year. I can't remember. But it was like all online. And I remember I had one class I had to attend in person, and it was weird. Like, just put it online. And we had to wear masks. Um and the desks were all spaced out. Wasn't that big of a class, but I remember we had to go up to UK. It was an hour and a half drive, like, or not an hour and a half, maybe like an hour drive. Like, I remember it was on Monday too. What a terrible time. But I had to go in once a week, and all my other classes were online. Um, yeah, we had to wear masks, and it was just weird. I mean, a lot of people didn't show, of course. It was just weird. It was crazy. And I'm just glad
Yeah.
that like you said, like in like high school, I actually had to have a graduation. So I can't imagine everybody were like talking about like drive through like graduations and stuff. I'm like, oh, that sounds awful.
Yeah, so you got the class of 2020 especially, like, got kind of, got affected the most by it. So I guess you were kind of a little bit more lucky. You were the year after you actually got to walk the stage. I was the year before that. So
Oh yeah,
it because I was 2019, so graduated the year before everything happened and all of that.
you just missed
Man,
it. Yeah.
I was very lucky in that aspect, but you're kind of also similar to me in the fact that, well, I could be wrong, but I have also not used my degree that I've gotten. I don't know if you have either.
No,
No,
not yet.
okay. Fair enough. We also have that similarity here. It's because we're driven to professional wrestling. That's what pulled us in from everything. And here you are now, what, a year and a half, a little bit, almost a year and a half since your debut. I think it was February of 2023 it was at
Uh,
Grindhouse.
yeah, January.
January,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's at the end of
So
January. So, yeah,
yeah, so it's about a year and a half now since then. You've been training obviously for about, I guess, 3 years now at this point. So you've
yeah,
been in the mix for a hot minute. And your good friend Billie Starkz, I know, really got you convinced you to go to Grindhouse. She was kind of a regular there, and then she ended up being your first match. So kind of, again, a full circle moment for you and all of that. Billie in that case would have been the veteran, even though she's younger than you. What are some things that you've taken away from Billie? She's kind of similar. She's been wrestling since she was, what, 13, 14 years old. She's now kind of a
yeah.
vet in her own right. What are some things that you've learned from Billie?
Oh yeah. Billie is she's phenomenal. First of all, she's just a superstar. I've been saying that, for years. And yeah, so I decided to go to Grindhouse because that's where she was. And I thought, like, oh, they're taking such good care of her there, and look at her. She's, obviously amazing. Um, I should go check it out. And because it was either that or, OVW, and I was just kind of
Yeah.
weighing my options that I had. But learning from Billie was just phenomenal. I mean, there'd be days where she was leading the classes, and like she was like 16 at the time, 15,
Yeah.
16. She was leading everybody in like the classes, and it was just amazing. Like, I remember she taught me how to do hip tosses. She taught me how to do arm drags. I was scared to death, but she taught me, and like, and even if I wasn't ready for it, like, and she always, that was another thing too. Like, she always had believed in me. Even when I don't think I saw my own potential, she would like reassure me on those kind of things, because it did take me a while to pick up certain aspects and certain things that really, like, made me nervous, or whatever. But learning from her, I mean, I learned so much from her work ethic. She's a mate. She's crazy. She would, come straight from school, take a nap in her car for maybe like 30 minutes or whatever, can come straight into training and go home. And then eventually, when she was older, she would go to work on top of that, another job. And yeah, I learned so much from her. She truly is a vet. I mean, I will give her that. And talking about our debut match, she really brought out the best in me. And it is crazy, like a full circle moment, like you said, like that she was my debut match. So, and it wasn't even supposed to happen.
I
Um,
know. Kayla
yeah,
Cassidy, I believe it was supposed to be, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yep. And so, yeah, Kayla couldn't make it, and Bailey, let's see, Billie was just off the plane. After she had just done Ring of Honor
Yeah.
tapings in Florida, and she was like right off the plane, and I didn't even know she accepted the challenge. I didn't know if I was even going to have a match because Kayla had pulled
Yeah.
out, and she was like, "Yeah, I heard you need an opponent," and I'm like, "Oh," people were telling me that, "Darlie, are you wrestling Billie today?" I'm like, "What? No, I no," and then I didn't see it until and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is happening."
Yeah,
Crazy.
so sometimes I feel like you have those moments where maybe you don't feel you're ready, but it pushes you out of your comfort zone. You test yourself in those moments. Maybe you don't feel ready, but especially for your debut match, not knowing your opponents till kind of very last minute. Luckily though, it is somebody who you're quite familiar with, and is also, again, it's so weird to say she's a vet because she's still very young, but she kind of is a vet at this point. But I feel like if it were to happen, you weren't prepared. At least you had somebody who you could trust, and you had that chemistry built in with already. I feel like that's probably the best case scenario for your debut match, honestly.
Oh yeah, 100%. She even told me, she's like, I wouldn't do this for anyone else. And
Yeah.
that just comes back to her just really believing in me, and I'm so thankful for her, so grateful for all of her wisdom. Um, just training under her and just training with her, just being in the ring with her, like you learn so much, Like even like if she doesn't say much, like you just
Yeah.
watching her, it's just amazing. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that match, and I would love to run it back sometime now that I am, a little more prepared.
Yeah.
So yeah.
One thing about Billie too is, I mean, if you can't tell already from her gear, she's inspired by a lot of Japanese wrestling, strong style and all of that. So I'm kind of curious if any of that interest slash influence has kind of been influenced onto you from Billie, and kind of studying the Japanese style of wrestling, or implementing it at all into your own repertoire.
A little bit, especially with Mercedes Mone going over to New Japan now. I have watched a lot of like New Japan and stuff, but now getting into like Stardom and stuff, I think, especially with the crossover with all the modern AW and all the big companies now, I am starting to really love watching all the women there. They're so incredible. But yeah, especially because a little bit I would say, but not as much. Um, I do like to watch, obviously, Mercedes, and seeing her go with the Japanese women is just incredible. So I don't know, maybe I'll start to take a little more from those gals because they're so good. They're hard hitting. They do not mess around. They're
Mhm.
so good.
At the time of recording this, Forbidden Door is this upcoming weekend. Mercedes Moné could become a New Japan Strong Women's Champion, which means she'll be defending more in Japan. So we don't know. Obviously, by the time this comes out, that match would have already happened. So, we'll see what happens. But that kind of perfectly segues because, she's obviously a big part of your entire journey. And again, talking about full circle moments, you got to reunite with her at WrestleCon last year. I believe it was
Yeah,
2023 in LA. She had kind of just resurfaced since coming back from, leaving WWE, even going to New Japan and Stardom. So it's kind of in the midst of all of that. You gave her your shirt,
I
and then she wore it
did.
at training. So we'll talk about the shirt in a moment, but what was it like, by this point you had made your debut. So what was it like reuniting with her, and then, telling her, now I'm officially a professional wrestler, made your debut and everything?
Yeah, woo, I'm gonna cry. I mean, as you know, I've been following Sasha Mercedes
Yes.
for her whole like WWE career. So she's obviously my number one. So like
Yep.
anytime I'd see her, I would write her letters, and I would always tell her how much like she's inspired me to want to be a wrestler. And I finally got to see her in Dallas WrestleMania weekend. She was doing like an appearance, and I got to tell her that I was officially training, and because that was the first time I think I'd seen her since I started training.
Yeah.
And she was telling me keep going. She's like, "Are you kicking ass?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying." Little timid Allie, but so yeah, officially getting to see her then at WrestleCon. Uh, I got to give her my shirt and tell her that I was wrestling, and she was like, you could just tell she was proud of me. and she's always been so good to me and like her crew. She's always been so good to her fans, and yeah, it's crazy that I even got to give her my shirt. Like I just wanted her to have one, and the fact that she wore it for training and she tweeted me and posted about it, I was like, that really like was special. That was really amazing.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was, like, about a week, maybe a week and a half after you saw her, maybe not even. I remember seeing that she just tweeted out, like, "I'm wearing your shirt," then she tweets out a photo of it. She's training with the Japan girls, and I'm like, "That is the coolest thing ever," because anybody who knows you knows, I mean, we'll kind of peel back the curtain a little bit. I used to not be a fan of Sasha, Mercedes, you remember this. Then I
Oh, I
became
know.
one. You kept fighting, you turned me into a fan, and she's done fantastic, especially, since she has more freedom now, and now she's the TBS champion. At the time of recording this, again, she has the possibility to be the TBS and the New Japan Strong Women's champion. At Forbidden Door, she's back from injury now. I don't even have to ask that you've been watching. I know you've been watching. What are your thoughts on her run thus far in AEW after making her explosive debut at Big Business?
Oh my gosh, that debut, like I knew it was coming, but it still
Yeah.
hit me like so hard when it happened. Like I cried, I was sobbing. Just because I like now that we know the extent of like her injury and
Yeah.
how serious it actually was, and knowing her love for wrestling, that you cannot deny that. Like even if you're not a fan of hers, you cannot deny how much passion and love she has for this and how much she just wants this. Um, but yeah, her run in AW, you can't deny it, right? Like even the haters like cannot deny how great she's been. Like even her weekly like episode, like just TV matches, like how incredible have those been? Like she's been killing it, and it's been amazing to see how much love and praise she's finally getting from people who maybe weren't the biggest fans before. Um, but yeah, it's just I'm so glad she's finally getting to. I told her that at WrestleCon. I said I'm just so glad and so happy and proud that you're finally getting to embrace like you and like be like who you've always wanted to be. And like she's been going to Japan and like Mexico, stuff that she's always dreamed about and wanted to do. So she's finally doing it for herself. Um, it's been amazing. It's been really inspiring too.
Also, can we talk about her gear at Double or Nothing? For me, I think that's a top 5 gear of all time for her,
I
honestly.
do.
I loved that gear.
Oh my gosh, me too. Me too. And did you see the purple one at CMLL? That was pretty
Yes.
cool too. That was pretty cool. So who knows with her? She's probably got so much like so many iconic looks like stored
Mhm.
like for certain big events. Yeah, I love the Double or Nothing one.
I'm
Definitely.
excited to see, barring anything happening, I'm excited to see what she could have for All In because that's gonna go over to the UK. She gonna do something UK inspired? I don't know, but,
Yeah.
I think she can pull anything off, really, and,
Oh, she can.
by then, I feel confident. It's a title for title match against Stephanie Vacker. She could be Mercedes 2 belts again. I feel like it's in her essence too. By the time this comes out, I feel like she's gonna be Mercedes 2 belts.
Oh,
Obviously
she is.
We'll see what happens though. Obviously you training now your own character and stuff like that. A lot of it is infused. I see some Mercedes elements in there, Bailey elements in there. Allie Allbright, I feel like that kind of just goes with your spirit in general. I've always known you to be a bright and positive person. Was that kind of the
Oh.
vibe you were going for with your name, or does Albright kind of originate from elsewhere? Tell me about obviously Allie is your real name, your first real name. Tell me about the decision with Albright as your last name.
No, you're kind of right. I mean, I the whole idea of a character like I kind of struggle with for a little bit. But yeah, I just decided like, hey, like it's me. Like this like my character is me. Like I'm authentically myself, and I embrace being uncomfortable, you know, and I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. So being all bright, I think it just reflects me being positive and wanting to be the best and wanting to shine and being authentic, to myself. So yeah, the alliteration is cool too. Allie, like Albright, two L's in both. But yeah, I think just basically what you said, just being me and being bright and bubbly and positive and optimistic. That's basically where it came from. I don't really know how I came up with it. A lot of people say, "Are you kin to, like the Allbright, whatever?" Like, no, I'm not in a wrestling. I'm not a second gen or anything, but um, yeah, I don't know. I think it really fits well with what I try to embody now in my character.
Yeah, and obviously wrestling, there's a lot of ups and downs and challenges. Not everything is always bright and sunny all the time. So during those maybe down moments, whether whatever the emotions may be, how do you keep yourself uplifted, and positive during those, lower points in your career, personally or professionally?
Oh yeah, I've definitely, especially with training, I had definitely had a lot of low points. It wasn't necessarily with anything wrestling related or like knowing my abilities. It was more so a lot of stuff doesn't happen quick, especially when you're
Yeah.
training and trying to get on shows and stuff like that. I knew my potential and I've always known that, okay, I've got this. I can do this, and I've always hoped and dreamed that that would be the case, and I'm so grateful that it is. But yeah, during those dark moments, I know I would really get down on myself a lot for not like moving as quick as some of the other my peers would. Like maybe like I had been training for 2.5 years and I still wasn't on the shows.
Yeah.
Um, but I look back at that and as like saying like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready. Even I thought I was. Like, look how much I've learned since then, and like look how much different like I am now. Whether it's character or my move set, like I've learned so much. So like maybe I wasn't ready, even though I was getting down on myself, saying like, oh, I need to be on the shows. Like I should be on the shows. Like maybe like people in charge just knew. Obviously, they know better. So but yeah, I'm so grateful though that they've always seen something in me, and that means a lot. But they were just waiting for it to come out. So during those dark times, I just try to stay positive and remember that everyone has their own path. Like everyone has their own journey, and I've tried not to compare myself to other people I like know or train with, and like realize like I have my own path in this business, and I mean that's true for any company, I think, because everyone brings their own thing to the table. So yeah, I've just tried to remember that, and I mean sometimes it's hard, but I just that's how I stay optimistic. So
I feel like
yeah.
too for a lot of people, besides, trying to sometimes uplifting yourself can be hard, but I do know one thing that I'm sure you can relate to is music can help a lot of the time too, and whether it's a pump up song or maybe you just need a good cry or something, it helps a lot. And I know you have a very versatile music taste and music range. Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, a lot of country. I know me and you really connect on the country front and all of that. Obviously, I mean, I would be remiss if we did talk a little bit of Taylor. I think you've been to a concert of hers during the Eras tour, or am I remiss?
No, I
Mistaken.
did. We went to opening night in Glendale, Arizona. Yes.
You have you tell
I'm
us
so
about it.
grateful. Oh, it was just amazing to be there. I still can't believe we were even there. Um, Talk about just once in a lifetime, and I'm so grateful that we're actually going again twice at the end of the year. Um, oh, for those who don't know, Taylor is my number one.
Yeah.
She always has been my number one, and it's just she always just puts on such an incredible performance. And night one, like not knowing what to expect, like everything, just the set list and the outfits and just the stage production, it's all just so incredible. And just being there, oh, it's just amazing. It's inspiring too. Like certain things, like you can take away, like in any like job or like any like profession, and like the way she goes 3 hours and she's just always performing, she's a performer, and it's just amazing to watch. And I love you, Taylor Swift.
When did your fandom of Taylor start? Because also, I believe her anniversary of her debut was like a couple days ago. I believe it was at the
Yeah,
time of recording this. When did
yeah.
you were you an OG, or when did your fandom for Taylor Swift begin?
Oh yeah, me and my sister, we were 100% OGs, like literally 18 years of loving Taylor. Like I
Yeah.
remember we were on our way to volleyball practice, I think, or maybe a game, And I remember Tim McGraw being on the radio, and we're like, and we got the CD, and we would follow along the lyrics and like the booklet, on the CD. And I remember talking, like our mom loved her too, at the time, and she still does. But she was always like, "Oh, she writes her own songs," and we were talking about it. And I remember going to get Fearless on the release day at
Yeah.
Walmart, and yeah, every day we've gotten an album on release day. But yeah, Taylor's inspired like obviously so many, and just she's been able to her music and just the way she carries herself. She has always tapped into like emotions that like I've always tried to put in words, but like I never knew how. And I think that's amazing, like you said, like about music, being able to
Yeah.
connect and uplift or cry or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I think Taylor covers all of that, and she's just an amazing songwriter, an amazing person. Um, yeah, how can you not love her?
Now, I'm not gonna make you narrow it down to one, but if there's 3 to 5 Taylor songs that you feel you really resonate with or your overall favorites, what would you say they are?
Okay, this is hard, but I would say my number one favorite Taylor song is Treacherous. It's on the Red album. And then I would say this is hard, Ella. Why would you do this?
I
Um,
gave you 3 to 5 for a reason.
okay. You're right. You're right. Um, I would say Gold Rush is also probably in the top five. Um, Probably The Last Time would be one of my favorites as well. And then I'll have another upbeat one in there so it doesn't look like I just listened to like all depressing things. All You Had to Do Was Stay. Those are probably four I think I could think right
Okay.
now, because like I always my top five changes like sometimes, but those are the main like four that are
Okay.
pretty consistent.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
could change depending on your mood. So that fifth
yeah,
will keep as a flexible option there. It probably changes depending on your mood too. Sometimes you want like country Taylor towards the beginning.
hmm
Other times you may want more somber indie Taylor, or you want upbeat pop Taylor. I feel like she doesn't fit in a box anymore. Obviously, she started out country, then she's still poppy, but then there's a little bit of indie in there too as well. So
yeah,
she's kind of got all three of those going on, I feel like. A little bit of country, pop, and then indie as well.
yeah. I feel like during COVID, she started to experiment with like storytelling and stuff, and
Yeah,
that's when she really tapped into like the sister albums and like being like indie with
folk
that kind
kind
of
of.
sound.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I really love that too. And I love that she still like Taylor has her own sound, but like you
yeah,
can't like define it and nail it
yeah,
down. Like even like when Torture Poets came out, like all the songs are like so different, but they still sound like Taylor, like her
yeah.
songwriting ability. Like you just hear a song, you're like, oh, that's Taylor. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a big Swiftie. And maybe I'm clowning. I don't know, but
Nothing wrong with that. It combining professional wrestling with music, obviously, kind of theme songs right there. If you had an unlimited budget and you could have any music artist or band write a custom theme song for you, who would it be and what would the vibe/sound be like?
Okay, number one would be Taylor. I would want her to own it though, because that's her whole thing. Like I want her to own her own music. But Taylor, if you would like to write me a song, you can own it. But I would love obviously Taylor, but I've thought about this too. I've also thought about like Jack Harlow or something. I think that'd be cool because he is from Louisville. That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
Because he references Kentucky a lot and stuff.
yeah,
Also, I don't know if you know Chase Atlantic, that group. They're called kind of more alternate pop kind of stuff. Or 21 Pilots. I think either any of those, like I think it'd be cool, like fitting the like fast, upbeat, vibe of an entrance theme. I don't know. At the same time, I feel like it'd be something bright, like, bestie, bestie, bestie.
yeah,
But still something really, to get you going.
yeah.
Um, so either one of those, I think, would be cool. But Taylor would be number one. But it's okay, Taylor. I know you want to own it. It's okay. I'll let you own it. I'll pay you, girl. Whatever. But yeah, that would probably be top ones that would be pretty cool.
We gotta manifest an Allie and Taylor collab. Like, I mean,
Yes,
there's been talk of Taylor Swift in professional wrestling in recent months, obviously. Who honestly, we've seen crazy crossover happens. Literally nothing is off limits at this point. We could see Taylor
I
Swift at
know.
WrestleMania next year potentially.
I would sob. I would sob. I'd be like, Taylor, what are you doing? But yeah, but girl, don't be at WrestleMania till I am. Like till I'm on that, till I'm, working at
You know what?
WrestleMania. So
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair.
We can come out together. We'll walk down the ramp
Yeah. You know, obviously along with your entrance is also your presentation and your look. You've got your identity pretty much well down, you know, bright, bubbly, cheerful. You know, you got your friendship bracelets, you got kind of team bestie a little bit in there, a little bit in homage to that. Gear wise though, you know, obviously you incorporate a lot of bright colors. I see with the blue, yellow, white. You've got some other gears going on. Where do you look in general in the ring gear department? What are your go-to inspirations when you're like crafting and envisioning your ring gear?
together. Yeah, so basically this last set that I have, my newest set, like the patchwork one,
Yeah.
um, I like kind of like envisioned it and brought my own idea to life. And Allie Parker, she does such an amazing job. She really brought my idea to life. And yeah, the inspiration for that kind of came from Olivia Rodrigo, actually. Like the Sour album art, and like I
Yeah.
kind of wanted like a Y2K kidcore, cybercore kind of thing going on. So yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for that, and for really like all of my merch, and stuff like that, my logos and like stars and like
Yeah.
space kind of deal. But as far as my next gear I have in the works, I'm kind of taking inspiration from the Eras tour. Um, yeah, so we shall
There's
see.
so
So
many eras. We don't know which era.
every answer just comes back to Taylor, doesn't it? Like,
I don't think you'd go black and I don't think you'd go black and whitish, so maybe I can rule out reputation. And
okay, we're starting to check. Okay.
folklore is kind of like beigey, earthy. I don't see you going that either, so I think I can check off that too.
I think I
Those are
think you're on the
really
right track.
those are really the only two I feel like I can confident. Okay, tortured poets. Also, I feel like I can kind of cross off because it's a little bit of gray. So I think I can cross off those three eras confidently. Um,
Okay.
for your
Okay, we're on the
gear.
right track. We're on the right
Okay.
track.
That's the only those are really the only three because they're kind of more earthy or like black and white gray and you're more color. Those are really the only three I can kind of cross off. So the rest will
Yeah.
leave up to surprise. Whether it's Speak Now, 1989, red. I would love a red look for you. We'll see what happens though.
Ooh,
Um
that could be
we'll,
iconic.
s-
That could be iconic.
we'll see what happens. Or it could just be kind of a collage of all of them. We'll see a little bit of oh,
It could
okay.
be.
With a
It
little
could
bit
be.
of nods mixed in there. We'll see what happens. But now as we're looking towards the future, final question, what are some of your personal and professional goals for the next year or two?
Yeah. Wow. It's such a loaded question. I always say like I just want more reps. I want to travel to new places. I want to wrestle new people. I want to just wrestle more. I have been pretty fortunate to already wrestle in 4 different states around here. So I would love to expand that list, maybe to like 10 or maybe 15, 13, in the next year or two. Obviously, the long term goal, like I want to be signed. I want to work hard, but most importantly, I just want to be the best wrestler that I can be and that I know that I can be. Because I really feel like am finally getting there where I'm starting to understand like all aspects like of a match and like psychology and stuff like that. But obviously, yeah, like long term goals. Sorry to step on your question. I don't know if you're gonna like follow up with that or not, but
Oh, you can
I
absolutely.
I obviously I want to wrestle Mercedes one day. That's the dream match. Um, and just so many women too on the scene right now that I would love to get in the ring with. I'd love to wrestle Maggie Lee. I think she's great. Brittany Brooks, I think she's great too.
She's unfortunately
Um,
injured right now,
I
knee
know.
injury at the
So
worst
Bestie,
time. She was on
I
such a,
know.
incline. Yeah, yeah,
I know. Wishing her a speedy, safe recovery for
yeah,
sure. But I would love to wrestle Billie again one
yeah.
day. I think that'd be great.
Maybe for the ROH Women's Television Championship?
Oh, that would be really that'd be something. That would really be a full circle, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and just other little goals I can think of. I would love for Grindhouse to bring back the women's championship. I mean, for a long time, I was the only girl there for a
Yeah.
while, um, holding it down. Uh, Thankful for all the women before, but now we're starting to finally have some other women too. So we're starting to have a little solid division. So I'd love to see the title come back. Um, yeah, and I know one match I do really want to have. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I want to have a match with Alex Zane, my bestie. I think he's just incredible. Fellow Kentuckian. Um, and yeah, and just I have a lot of dream matches. I love obviously watching so many different people, so many different types and styles of wrestling, and I don't know. I think we would all have fun matches. So yeah, there's a lot of goals. I just want to be as good as I know I can be. Just keep working hard, and yeah, be the bestiest bestie that I can be.
Allie Allbright versus Nic Nemeth 2025.
Oh yeah, I forgot that one. That's a big one. That's a big one. Thank you so much for reminding me. That's a big one.
Allie, before we let you go, please share where the listeners can find you online and support you.
Yeah, besties, you can find me on Instagram. It's underscore Allie Instagram. So it's Allie and then like Instagram, like Instagram. Yeah. Just type in Allie Allbright, you'll find it. On Twitter or X, whatever they're calling it these days, Allie Wrestles. I have my own pro wrestling tees. You can find
Do.
me there, Allie Allbright. Or you can just message me on Twitter or Instagram. I have a lot of other merch there. Um, yeah, this has been so much fun, bestie. I'm so glad we finally got to do this.
Me too.
Don't
Talk
let it
about
be too long next time for part two.
I know, I know. Like I said, talk about full circle.
Yeah.
The next time we'll talk, you'll have some of those dream matches down. You'll have a championship around your waist. I believe, Allie. I believe.
Oh, thank you. Oh, me too, bestie. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, bestie. This has been so fun.